as a kid and how that can manifest and cause these emotional blocks in life. And so if you would like more information about me, you can go to my website. It is dynamicchange.wellness.com. You can also email me there and ask questions of what I'm talking about. You can ask me to problem solve particular dynamics within your life. And I also teach meditation. So a lot of times I will put that within the show to show you ways you can work with moving emotional blocks within your life. And meditation has been proven and utilized more and more and more within the psychology field. And so today, as a lead into that, what I would like to talk about today is how to create flow in your life. So one of the things that is often brought up is this idea of mindfulness and kind of flow and being present with your life. And I was very fortunate to be exposed to meditation at such a young age, and because I was in the fitness and wellness field from about 18, 19 years old, and I was teaching exercise and teaching dance, and meditation became part of that, and as a fitness trainer. So it was something that I always was able to lean into when I worked with people. And so what I found was that going into either moving meditation, particularly moving meditation, I think a lot of times when people sit down and they say, okay, now I'm going to try to meditate, their mind is so busy that going into a relaxed state to where their mind can become quiet and they can start to feel the flow of energy that they're talking about, that I've heard people bring up on podcasts and things like that. And I was like, oh, I know what they're talking about. There's this ease of just being present, being really aware of yourself in that moment, and being aware of how you feel, and getting out of the way. So for the flow to be available, you have to get out of the way a little bit. And so what I would like to talk about today is how can we get out of the way? How can we develop the flow and this ease to not only have our flow of, it's kind of your most successful, together, happy, well, whole feeling self. So to me, that flow is being able to express the most empowered, the most mature, the most balanced, the most happy, the most well version of yourself, and bring that to the table and bring that to life. And so when I was listening to these speakers talk about that, I realized that people are acknowledging that particular quality in life, that presence of self. But I was thinking, it might be hard, or just people may need the information of how do we get into that space. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so to get out of our own way, to allow this flow, this creative sense of self to be expressed, I think a lot of it has to do with the patterns that we are utilizing within our life. And so the patterns that we are utilizing in our life are often, we get so used to doing like a habit, Like we'll get up, and the habits are good. I mean, the habits are good, but the thing is the spontaneity, the the energy can get kind of stagnant, right? So because we just do the same things, we expect the same things, we know how it's going to play out. So how does this flow move through a space that doesn't have a lot of bend, a lot of just being able to adjust to the moment, right? So this flow of your mind, this flow of your energy, this flow of your emotions, and creating what you need in that moment, this movement, right? I teach dance, so I love the idea of movement, and I love the idea of adjusting for the situation, because what I always found kind of fun was when I would go out dancing, and let's say I was in a really in a crowd of people, and there was room to dance, but you had to be really aware of the people in the space. So I didn't, accidentally bump them with my arm or step on their foot, but I still wanted to be able to dance. And so there was this, how can I have my own flow, and how can I have my own expression of movement and really enjoy and not feel limited, but also be aware of these surroundings and how I needed to adjust to still have my flow of expression, my flow of creation, my flow of satisfaction, and enjoy that moment to the fullest. But there's also this life, there's these people, there's these things in the environment, and I didn't know what they were going to be. So this is my analogy. Being in this space around these people, I have no idea how they're going to move. You have no idea if there's going to be someone that maybe had a couple drinks and maybe their balance is going to be off, or you have no idea what's going to happen. You're like, oh, I might need to all of a sudden last second shift and move, and find a way to work with that where I don't accidentally make us collide into this person. We both get hurt, because that's never fun, right? And it's embarrassing. I don't want to hurt somebody, and I don't want to accidentally fall down and hurt myself either, but I want to be able to live my life to the fullest and have that expression. So when I think about things like this, it's like, how can I maintain my flow of just enjoying the moment to the fullest, knowing what I need to enjoy that moment to the fullest, knowing how to pay attention to myself, and how to adjust to life and my environment in a way that doesn't get in the way of me enjoying my expression, enjoying my ability to pay attention to myself internally, and just have this quiet with the rest of me, because our minds get so busy. We're in life and we're thinking all the time of how to do this and do that, and maybe pay that bill, or get this accomplished, or pick up the kid from school, or whatever it is. And so the mind has so much that it's processing a lot of the time, that I think then we lose the sense of just being present with, how does our body feel? How does our emotions feel? How does my expression feel? How does that creativity feel? So there's just this busyness, and it gets in the way of the flow. So that's what I'd like to talk about today. And again, you're listening to Dynamic Change. My name is Michelle Love. You're listening to KPCALP in Petaluma. This is a weekly show at 11 o'clock on Wednesdays from 11 to 12. And so I would love to discuss how people can create more flow in their lives, developing more presence of noticing how they're feeling, and what maybe they need to adjust in that moment to feel the most ease with the expression of themselves in a healthy way. And again, my background, I'm a certified wellness coach, and I used to work, I have a degree in psychology. I used to work in mental health for a long time, and I work with the body. I've been working with the body as a fitness trainer and somatic levels for over 30 years, and noticing, how do we access that flow? How do we access that presence of self? And in teaching meditation all these years, this is how I think you get it. So moving meditation has been the easiest, the easiest thing I have taught people to access this amount of flow of expression. And I've taught moving meditation for over 30 years. And so I do it with dance. I do it with guided meditation, like a yoga, when I teach yoga, and all these things. It's very Tai Chi like. Studying Tai Chi is and Qigong, I mention that a lot in the shows. Qigong is like Tai Chi but simpler. It's spelled Qi is one word, and the next word is Gong, Gong, and you can pronounce it a couple different ways, but Qigong. And very similar to Tai Chi, just simpler. But those type of movements, in my opinion, are one of the easiest ways to learn how to do like a moving meditation that allows this energy to flow within yourself, to help quiet the mind, to help the body feel good, and because we have a holistic experience within our body. And I've been exposed, again, from a very young age when I first started working in the wellness field, to a lot of Eastern meditation, Eastern medicine, and acupuncture and acupressure, and these types of concepts where they're talking about a person operating on a holistic level, where there's this physical experience, there's an energetic experience, because we have energy in our bodies that scientists will tell you. We have an emotional experience, we have a mental experience, and all these things work together. So Tai Chi, which I've studied for a good number of years and I have deep respect for, is this idea of moving, your body and your being in this full expression of all these layers of the self. So in order to express flow, it is very much so like the expression and concepts and the premise of Tai Chi. It is about moving from a complete sense and expression and presence of self within every movement, every moment. And so this flow that they're talking about, to me, that is the definition. So what I recommend for people to tune into that level of presence within themselves is, for one thing, if it resonates with you, to actually study something like Qigong, which you can find. I found it on YouTube. There's wonderful classes that you can find as well. But if that's easier for you, I found Tibetan monks on YouTube that are teaching the Qigong, and like 10 minutes, and it's deep breathing and easy movements. And when I taught moving meditation, I think the key is doing something easy that's repetitive, because then your mind can let go. So doing something where you're doing a movement, you can even do this while you walk, you can do this while you're gardening, you can do this while you're doing the dishes, but just let your mind relax, let your vision relax a little bit, and you just do deep breathing, slow and deep, whatever pace works for you, and do something simple. So the movement you are doing becomes a meditation. It becomes something that you don't have to think hard to do. And immediately when you start breathing deeply, it allows the mind to start to relax. So let's say you put a timer on and you're going to go for a walk. And you're going to say, I'm going to go for a 20-minute walk, or I'm going to do some stretching for 20 minutes and do deep breathing, or just do the dishes. And the reason you set the timer, and put the alarm something mellow. Don't have the obnoxious alarm. Have the mellow, something to slowly bring you out of that. That's not so jarring, right? Because our nervous system is so, I think, overstimulated a lot of the time that we can be in fight or flight kind of mode within our body and our psyche, and we don't want that. We want ease, relaxation, and lower blood pressure, stress levels. So you could put this alarm on that's just very lovely when you hear it. It feels good, and you can slowly come out of something. So, like, let's say I wanted to do something like clean the house, do the dishes, and do it in a mindful way that helps develop flow, helps you be present with that expression of being in your body in a way that feels like I'm present with all the layers of myself, and the mind's there, but it's relaxed. So I set the timer, let's say for 20 minutes, and I'm going to move slowly, intentionally, breathing deeply the whole time. There's different ways you can do deep breathing. It's one of the things I teach often. You can breathe in. So just do this with me now so you have an idea. So you could breathe in through your nose and hold the breath for maybe a count of 5. And when you exhale, you can imagine exhaling through a straw in your mouth. And when you exhale, try to push all the air out. So you're squeezing out like a sponge. Squeeze out all that air, and then hold it for just another count of 5. And then when you're ready to inhale as fully as you can through your nose. Really inflating the lungs, inflating the belly, inflating your whole chest and back aspects of your body. Hold it for 5 minutes, count of 5 seconds, or as long as you can, and then exhale fully, breathing out through the mouth, through the straw. And when I do this, I squeeze, I bring my abdominals into my stomach, into my spine to push out all that air. So let's practice 5 breaths together, okay? So let's just pretend. We put the timer on for a certain amount of time so we can do the dishes, we can do the cleaning, we can slowly just move and imagine we're doing Tai Chi, whatever you want to do. Be walking. But the idea is to set the timer to breathe that whole time. Just the focus is going to be doing your task, relaxing the mind. It's an easy task, so you don't have to hardly think at all. But you are going to focus on just breathing and doing it in a way where it just feels relaxed. There's no pressure. There's no like you got to be somewhere afterwards. Try to just be like, I'm just going to relax and feel my body just have this easy movement. I'm going to do it as easily as possible, okay? So let's do our 5 breaths, and I'll talk more about that. So you can do this with me now. So breathe at your breath pace, not mine, but I will give you cues for when to breathe. So breathing in through the nose, holding the breath for a count of up to 5, exhaling through a straw in your mouth, exhaling fully, and then holding it for another count of 5 if you can. And when you're ready to inhale, inhale through the nose, holding, Exhaling fully through the straw. Continuing at your breath pace. Two more breaths. And one more breath. Okay, so the idea is to focus on your breathing, and even if you kind of forget for a moment, keep going back to it. So you've already set your timer with the relaxing alarm, and you've decided to dust the furniture. And so this can become a meditative time, movement. So you have your feather duster. Those are fun, by the way. I think they're fantastic. And you dust the things very gently. And you're moving with ease. So the idea of moving with ease, and these are also Feldenkrais and Alexander techniques, which I'm not certified in, but I've noticed I often teach those ideas because I work a lot as a fitness trainer. I've worked with physical therapists quite a bit, and I've worked a lot with rehabbing the body from injury. So when we're working on healing from something, we have to adjust how we move. So if you've ever injured yourself and you've realized that a particular movement irritates something in your body that's healing, you have to adjust the movement. So what I teach people a lot is making the movement smaller and slower. So you still move it. You don't want to freeze up, but you're modifying. Maybe I don't extend quite as far. You reach just half an inch less. You bring the hand up half an inch lower. You move to the side at a diagonal that's half an inch as like the movement is in a range that is maybe just an inch smaller, like 360 degrees ish. Like everything just comes smaller. That movement, that range of movement, that whole bubble space within that arm movement or whatever it is. And so noticing and breathing deeply, what feels the most relaxed? How can I move my body in a way that feels comfortable? There feels like there's ease. Everything feels happy. Because when we're working really hard, so this is for relaxation. So I teach exercise too, but when we are working hard, like in a workout, there's an amount of kind of stress, right? And this is really beneficial when we're working out. But when we're trying to have just a flow and an ease, we need to be able to access a part of ourselves, a part of our experience and our being, creating a space for a flow that's just easy. So finding movement that feels kind of gentle and simple, and we can breathe, and so you're dusting and you're like, oh, I feel so comfortable when I move my arm at this angle. And just breathe deeply and see how much you can relax, moving from your shoulder all the way out to your arm as you dust. And maybe you're just doing it so, and then you switch the feather duster to the other arm, and that other arm feels really comfortable going up high in that moment, dusting the shelf, and then coming down. And then you're like, I'm going to gently, slowly, breathe deeply, walk outside, and I'm going to shake the feather duster outside. Get rid of the dust. And then come back into the house and just gently, and it feels like this meditation. So maybe then you're feather dusting very gently across the shelf or the bookshelf. Maybe you decided back and forth feels good. Maybe up and down. maybe a gentle circle, and noticing what angle holding that feather duster at feels the most balanced for your body. And then go into the other hand and then gently rock back and forth on your feet. These are all Tai Chi stuff, but you're moving from the center of your being. So try to move the whole body slowly together so you feel this beautiful dance, this beautiful extension, this beautiful connectivity of our body, and it just feels nice. And you can do this doing anything. You can be putting the books on the shelf, but you can feel it travel through your whole body, and just do deep breathing as you do this. And and if 20 minutes feels like a long time, do 5 minutes. But I guarantee if you focus on deep breathing and doing just simple movement that's repetitive, that you don't have to think about, it will start relaxing your mind. And so I'll walk outside. This is one of my favorite things. I'm sure if anyone's ever seen me do it, I don't think I've had a witness yet, but I'm sure it's very comical. But I like walking outside and feeling the sun and closing my eyes. And I'll just do it for a short period of time, like not even a full minute. I know it's like a safe, the terrain is just very simple, and so I'm not going to trip or fall. But just for, even 20 seconds, I'll walk with my eyes closed and just walk really slow. And it just feels so good to allow yourself to move without that heavy-duty concentration. My eyes don't have to be working. My mind doesn't have to be thinking or worried about the next step. But just that slow, gentle movement. When we allow ourselves to do this kind of movement in life as often as possible, your mind will have a break. We need to have a break, right? And so in order to have flow, you have to create space. If there's no space for the flow, if the mind is busy, if it's, efforting all the time, if we have all this effort going on, it's the stress and the effort of not having a relaxed state within the self gets in the way. It creates a block of the flow. So, I've set the timer and I've decided to do this dusting, and I'm just, so to me this is Tai Chi. I love Tai Chi. But so if you see me moving, this is very Tai Chi-ish, but allow yourself to kind of focus on, how am I moving? How am I enjoying this movement? How much am I moving through my body? Try to have your whole body moving a few inches together, comfortably. And if something doesn't feel comfortable, shift it. So this goes back to my analogy of dancing on the dance floor. I was enjoying my movement so much, but I had to keep adjusting so I'm not taking out the person next to me, because that never ends well, right? Ending up on a tangle in the floor with people is never a good moment, right? But I can manage to still enjoy this movement, this expression, and modify. So just notice what allows you to maintain feeling good. So when I brought up the Alexander and Feldenkrais technique, it's a re-education on movement after injury. So they have you do these mindful techniques of how can you move and not have pain? How can you move in a way that is very functional and healing for the body? So it's like a re-education. So it's just a little bit what I'm talking about. You're re-educating how you are functioning in your life, what you're focusing on, allowing yourself to almost not focus a little bit and just breathe, to create flow, to create an opening for this flow of experience. So you can express the most efficient, the most aware, the most present, the most creative, the highest level of energy. This will help give you energy too. So if you're tired, this will help bring up your energy level. This will help you if you're having writer's block, if you're a musician and an artist and you're feeling funky and you're feeling stale or you're feeling depressed. This stuff helps lift the funk. This helps bring in fresh energy, fresh feelings. You have to open up and kind of move out what's in the way to have this fresh flow of newness, of spontaneity, of creation, of just creative flow. So again, my name is Michelle Love. You're listening to Dynamic Change. I do this show every week on Wednesdays from 11 to 12. And you're listening to KPCA-LP in Petaluma. And I am talking about developing flow in your life. I have heard speakers on podcasts and stuff talking about the flow. I'm going to talk about how do you create it, because I've taught meditation and somatic experience and ways to release emotional blocks in the body for over 30 years. And this is how you do it. And so I want to talk about how we create that holistic opening and shift and availability of this experience so you can access other parts of your mind. Because in my opinion, there's scientists, doctors, they have not been able to come up with how do we access all parts of our mind. There's so like a limited amount that we even use, like I don't know, this much. This is like, okay, for the people on the radio that can't see what I'm doing, I'm showing you like an inch with my fingers. We use such a small portion of our mind. So if you think we're only using this small portion of our mind because we haven't figured out how to use all of it, and the scientists and everyone, they know this, there's so much more to us. So if there's so much more to us, what does that mean? What are we not able to access yet? So what kind of focus, what kind of meditative process, what kind of creativity and even wellness within ourselves have we not figured out how to do? We've never been able to do it because we've never accessed that full expression of our mind and our full being. So if we don't access all of our mind, the holistic experience of emotional intelligence, the holistic experience of being in our power and feeling confident and feeling expressive and communicating fully, communicating all of our emotional awareness, communicating our boundaries, communicating, expressing what we fully believe in, coming up with ideas and solutions to things in our society, coming up with being aware of our body, being aware of our emotional things that get stored in our body and how to heal that. So this means we could be healthier, we could have better health. This means that if we use more of our mind, we might come up with ideas that are so profound to allow us to get along with people more easily, allow us to have more happiness, allow us to create beautiful art and have this beautiful expression. So there's this quality of being that gets expressed with being able to create this flow that we've never been aware of. So back to dusting. So we're dusting like Tai Chi, and we're dusting, and we're noticing as we do our deep breathing that your body feels really comfortable, feels really, it's like, oh, my hip feels better when I just move in this very soft movement where I allow my low back to move in these little circles, and I'm doing little hip circles as I move, and these movements can be just a few inches. I'm rocking back and forth on my feet. I'm moving my whole body a few inches forward as I dust. My shoulder likes it when I have this kind of lower angle on my right shoulder, and that when I move my elbow gently back, my neck feels comfortable because I'm allowing my chin to be back a little bit, not like jutted forward. A lot of times we have the posture of our neck, or the head's really forward a lot because we drive, we look at computers, we're looking at our phone, all these things that, they can make your neck really tense, make the shoulders tense. So just allow your chest to feel open, right? Your shoulders are pulled back and down, your head's pulled back just a little bit on your neck. You've relaxed the vision in your eyes, and you're deep breathing, and you're moving in this way where your body feels connected. And you're deep breathing, your body feels connected, and you're thinking happy thoughts. Let's talk about your thoughts. So then your thoughts, to create this flow, focus on something simple. So as we're breathing, maybe you're just thinking of these beautiful colors. You're thinking of these beautiful things. Maybe you're a gardener. You're like, I'm going to create this beautiful thing in my garden later that I've been thinking, and I'm just gonna think about how beautiful the garden's going to be. That, wow, this plant, I can just envision how it's going to be after I plant these particular flowers, or this plant, this vegetable. Like, how is that going to play out? I think the other plants is going to help nourish all these plants, the soil. It's going to be beautiful. I'm going to feel satisfied. I'm going to feel like I really accomplished something by creating this beautiful space in my garden. There's going to be this wonderful food as a result. And as you're deep breathing, let's take 2 deep breaths. Do this with me now. Inhale. Holding the breath. Exhale through a straw, as if you have a straw on your lips. Another deep breath. Holding for a count of up to 5. Relaxing the shoulders. Breathing out through the mouth. And doing this deep, deep, deep breathing. So thinking something that just is so simple. Sometimes we don't need to think at all. Sometimes I can just dust and let the mind go. I noticed I'm able to do that. And I think it's because I started practicing and teaching guided meditative movement so long ago. I think that's why I'm able to do that. But I've noticed really brilliant people, their minds are really active and they're just going. And sometimes sleep can be challenging, and unwinding can be challenging. So if you have one of those kinds of minds, you might need to give yourself a focus. And that's why something like focusing on the garden, my example of the garden, might be needed in that moment. But just something very, very concise, very simple. And that's what you're doing as you're dusting, is you're giving it a focus that is just easy. So you're creating ease as you move. So as you create this ease, you're creating this opening for this flow. You're doing your deep breathing. You're gently moving in your body, noticing what allows you to feel this gentle ease. Now this is really important because, again, as my analogy of dancing on the dance floor, life is a dance floor. And so how can we keep feeling happy and feeling the most satisfaction in that moment and respond to something that comes up in life? So let's say we're dusting and all of a sudden, the cat comes up, or somebody comes up in our environment. And let's say that person is, let's say there is, your kid comes up, and your kids, just fell down, and they got hurt, and so they're crying. How can we respond to this situation but still hold this level of internal ease? Like, do we need to get super stressed out, or is there a way that we can be present with that wonderful little person or kid and be there for them, but not take on stress or create stress around it? So if we've done all this deep breathing and we're relaxed, we've been moving in this state, our bodies feel good, our mind feels good, we could squat down in front of the kid, look them in the eye, and tell them, okay, I can see that you feel like that was a little scary. You fell down, and you have a little cut, a little abrasion on your hand, but we're gonna find a solution for it. Okay, so let's like really slowly walk over to the sink in the bathroom, take a couple deep breaths. And since we've already gone over the deep breathing, we know how to do that, right? So now we can show that to the little kid, hold their other hand, and take them into the bathroom. And they have their little stool that they use to get up onto so they can wash their hands, and say, okay, look in the mirror and take a breath. And then exhale. Now for a kid, they're gonna not do the straw, they're gonna do a this is a little kid. This little kid language, right? Big breath for the little kid. Another deep breath for the little kid. We showed the little kid how to do this in the mirror. And then we're like, okay, now turn on the water, make it warm so it's not too startling. Get a little soap, and we're going to help all the dirt be washed out. So we're showing this little kid that we adore, our kid, how to function in a way where they can calm down, they can look in the mirror, they have a way to solve the issue, they have a way to calm down the painful experience and take their body out of pain, relax their mind, they're regulating themselves emotionally, physically. They're looking in the mirror, and they're able to look at themselves and get that physical, mental, visual feedback of, oh, when I do a deep breath like that, I do start to feel a little better. And then they're going to use that gentle soap and the gentle temperature, so they're getting all this sensory, tactile information of how to regulate, how to relax, how to reset themselves. So when we are dealing with this, and this whole time, by showing the kid how to regulate, we were able to hold on to our flow. We didn't lose it. We didn't be like stressed out. Oh my God, what happened to the kid? And now I have to be stressed. So we were able to maintain our sense of center, our sense of self, our sense of relaxation, and still handle something that could have been stressful. And so the kid washes their hand. Now we're going to show them how to gently pat. We're going to show them how to be gentle. You can take the towel, which is nice and soft. And when you describe these things to kids, it's beneficial for both the adult and the child. Oh, I can reach towards the gentle solution. I can reach towards what feels the most comforting in that moment. So this is a learning for not just a kid. We're modeling for the kid, we're explaining it, but it's also a reminder, how are we treating ourselves to stay in a state of relaxation? How much gentleness are we doing? Tactilely, how do we handle ourselves? How do we handle stress? How do we handle the flow in our moment? So this is something like maybe you can, have that timer. And this happened in those 20 minutes of focusing on how can I be gentle with myself? How can I move in a way that feels good? How can I feel the happiest by thinking a thought that just felt simple and felt good? Programming our whole experience on a holistic level of feeling happy, feeling open to good things, breathing, our body feels good, our energy's flowing. And when you do deep breathing, it's one of the fastest way to increase your level of energy in your body. So one of the things when I talk to like pregnant mothers, because you're trying not to drink caffeine, and when I was pregnant I gave up caffeine, and I loved caffeine. That was the one thing I did. I loved my tea. And so that was like a big thing for me to let go of. And so the breath of fire in yoga, it's where they breathe really fast. It's like that, like you're breathing really fast, you're inhaling through your nose, and that you contract the abdomen as you do it. The people on the radio must love. You can hear all these wonderful sounds I'm making with the fancy breathing. You don't get the visual, but I'm breathing in really fast, in through my nose and out through the nose, and at the same time I'm using my abdomen to kind of move in and out with that breath. And what that does is it helps stimulate your organs. It helps stimulate your oxygen level, like you're breathing in a lot of oxygen. The more oxygen we have, the higher energy level. So you're doing these things of like noticing what allows me to feel good, what allows me to feel comfortable in my body. When I stretch and do deep breathing, and maybe I do that breath of fire where it's really fast for a minute, and wow, I feel really invigorated. But if you have a very intentional moment, like a certain amount of time where you are paying attention to these subtle layers of our experience within ourselves, you're going to be opening up your mind more. You're going to be opening up your feeling good in your body. You're going to be expressing happiness. And the more we are present with happiness, with ease, with gentleness, our energy flows better, because when we're stressed, it creates blocks. When we are in pain, it creates blocks. When we are mad, it's going to create a certain amount of traffic jam. So we want everything to be open, and the more open and the more we focus on this opening, this balance within the self, being able to understand what allows me to feel good, what allows me to feel happy, what allows my energy to flow and connect all the dots of your physicality, your energy, your emotions, your mind. These things are so huge for you to access a more expansive, advanced sense of self, to be able to access your flow, to access being able to hold your center and hold your flow when you're interacting with a situation like the kid falling down and getting hurt that could have disrupted this sense of balance within yourself. And you've helped the kid see how they can have their own flow and how they can solve that problem, how they can self-regulate and look in the mirror and get that feedback. Ooh, that's huge. The kid could look in the mirror and be like, oh, I'm all upset, but I can change that. The idea that we have showed the kid how they can choose to change, going from being upset and in pain and stressed out to, they could do some breathing, they can look in the mirror, they could find ways to have the water be gentle, it's a nice temperature, they can very softly rub their hands together to clean the wound, they can use the soft towel to gently pat it, And then we say we'll take a couple more breaths, we'll walk over to where the Band-Aids are. And remember last time you can talk to the kid, I showed you how to do the Band-Aid. Do you want to do it by yourself this time and put some of the healing goo on? You know, like you can empower this kid to totally calm down from this thing that happened in a way where they are learning to self-regulate, where it's not about you putting all this effort into solving this for the child. You're showing them how to solve their own dysregulation. How powerful is that? So I hope you have enjoyed this. I have enjoyed it immensely. So what I've been talking about today, my name is Michelle Love. You're listening to Dynamic Change. I do this show every week, and I'm talking about how to create flow within yourself and how to holistically be present with all the different aspects of ourself to have this flow. And when they talk about flow, they are talking about, this concept is about mindfulness. It's about allowing the flow of your expression of yourself to have 100% expression of your creativity, of your most brilliant ideas, of your most authentic self, of your most happiest. It also leads to happy emotions, your passionate self, your emotionally intelligent self, your brilliant side, and also emotionally, the flow is feeling happy, feeling satisfied, feeling inspired. It's like being the muse for yourself. And feeling good in your body. The flow should include the feeling in your body, because we live in our bodies. It's all connected. So that means, moving and feeling and being present with your body in a way where we feel healthy, we feel happy, we feel vibrant. So that's what the flow is talking about. It's a meditation brings you to the flow. Let me put it that way. Meditation helps bring the flow. So that's why I have been showing how to be present in your body in these ways. So now I would like to take a break to tell you about one of the shows we have here at KPCA-LP in Petaluma. And they have some amazing shows, and I love sharing them with you. And so you can listen to the other shows. And another one is called Bear Time. It's on Mondays from 3 to 4 p.m. And it's hosted by Mr. Bear. I love that. I've never met Mr. Bear, but it's very intriguing. Bear Time is an eclectic array of music from around the world, spanning artists, generations, and genres. Lots of Irish, Caribbean, jazz, swing, and bios. Some shows may feature a theme related to a holiday, an event, or perhaps the passing of a musical artist. Bear Time is quality airtime. That sounds really nice. It sounds like they have a very eclectic taste in music, which I always really enjoy. There's so much variety in the world. And so that sounds like a really interesting, emotionally satisfying show, if I do say so myself. And so all the shows that I do here on Dynamic Change every week, I upload to my YouTube channel. And there's about 30 shows. I have a couple more I will be adding soon. I got a little backlogged, but I put them on my YouTube channel you can find by going to Michelle Love with Dynamic Change and Wellness. And you can replay the shows. I give you a little description, and they talk about, all the shows talk about how to generate more wellness. I talk about a lot of emotional and psychological patterns, how to work with removing blocks of fear, trust, how to have healthy boundaries. I'm also a certified self-defense instructor, so I talk a lot about boundaries and emotional patterns and how to create healthy patterns in your life and how to resolve particular traumas, like how to work with that and start bringing ease to that and start moving it through your body in a somatic way, and how to find support in the world, whether it's through therapy, through support groups, through exercise. Exercise is always a way to help the body to release, and this helps the mind release, it helps your emotional body release. So making time to exercise every day, if you can, even it's a short, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but it can be, half an hour of walking and breathing more deeply than usual. It could be riding your bike. And as a fitness trainer and working with the body and the emotions and with people for so many years, I really recommend finding something you like to do. And the more we reach towards doing things that feel good, it's going to help encourage your flow. So another way, before I finish today, is I just want to say I always recommend changing your pattern in life. Sometimes it's good to say, I'm just going to get up and just do what I feel like doing. Not what I think I should do or should accomplish, but maybe I'm going to get up and I'm just going to treat myself the whole day. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go find my caffeine somewhere else. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to clean anything in the house. Maybe you have animals. I'm just going to feed the animals and that's it. And then I'm going to put on something fun and just do what feels fun. Sometimes I look in the closet and I'm like, ooh, there's that rock and roll shirt. That feels fun. And I'm like, I'm just going to wear it because that was the first thing that came to my mind that felt fun. So you want fun that day. So you wear the rock and roll shirt and maybe the loud pants, and that's fantastic, right? And you're like, and I'm not going to put any makeup on. I'm going to let my hair be wild and walk out the door. There you go. You go get your caffeine and you're having fun. And then you're like, what else feels fun? I think I want to go for a walk in the park, or I'm going to window shop, or I'm going to all of a sudden just call my friend I hadn't talked to in a while and see if they could talk for a few minutes. But do something completely unregimented, no schedule at all, nowhere to be. Like, just try to have a day where you just really do whatever, but try to make it what feels good. And say, you know what? Ooh, I just feel like having pancakes. Go have the pancakes. And, or just take yourself out to do this or that, or I'm going to go to the beach, or I'm going to go out tonight and listen to some live music. Like, I'm going to go buy myself something. Maybe I just want to go buy a new perfume or a new shirt. But just allow yourself to just not have an agenda other than having fun and being spontaneous. That will bring fresh energy into your life and more flow. Break up the patterns. Be spontaneous and be happy. Thank you so much for listening today. This is Michelle Love with Dynamic Change. I will see you next week, 11 o'clock on Wednesday. I hope you have an amazing week.